We will start the story of sage or sage, Salvia officinalis, with an old Latin proverb: why should a man die when sage grows in his garden? This perhaps tells us best about the importance of sage, and how long it has been known and recognized as an exceptional remedy for many ailments. It is known that Charlemagne singled out sage among all medicinal herbs. He even issued a decree ordering that medicinal herbs must be grown on all state estates. Of the hundreds of different plants, sage came first. The name of the whole genus Salvia comes from the Latin word salvare, which means to save, cure. This information once again confirms the importance of this noble plant. Where does sage grow and how can you recognize it? Sage grows in gardens, in rocky and warm areas. It is a perennial branched plant. Its tree is about half a meter to 90 centimeters high and partly woody. The leaves have a lot of hairs that give the leaves a distinctive silvery green color. The flowers can be blue-purple and sometimes pinkish-white variations. The plant has a specific and unique scent. The effect of sage on the body. Sage has a strong aroma and earthy taste, which is why it is usually used in small quantities. Nevertheless, it contains many important nutrients and medicinal substances and compounds. It has a pronounced anti-inflammatory effect on our body. This means that it acts on different types of inflammation, such as inflammation of the pharynx, bladder, vaginal organs, etc. Its effect on our body is such that it cleanses the blood and thus various causes of disease. It is a very good hormonal regulator. If you have an irregular menstrual cycle, we warmly recommend sage tea. It is good for both puberty and menopause. Sage tea can be drunk for indigestion and increased sweating. Sage also has a stimulating effect, raises the tone and regulates sweating after the flu. It could be said that sage is a broad-spectrum antibiotic. It is also called the medicine for the rich and the poor. A small amount of 0.7 grams sage contains 10% of the total daily needs for vitamin K. Sage also contains small amounts of magnesium, zinc, copper and vitamins A, C and E. Moreover, this aromatic spice contains caffeic acid, chlorogenic acid, rosemary acid and rutin, all of which play a significant role in its beneficial effects on health. Because it is ingested in small amounts, sage provides only negligible amounts of carbohydrates, calories, protein and fiber. Sage has an antiseptic effect, so it is used for gargling for sore throats, canker sores. Sage has antimicrobial and antispasmodic effects, relaxes smooth muscles. It reduces the secretion of sweat and saliva, and also regulates sweating. Sage is a natural preservative, because it has an antimicrobial effect, thanks to its ability to prevent the development of the virus. It is also used in ointments against herpes. It has an astringent effect, so it is used externally to stop bleeding wounds, but also to disinfect wounds and ulcers. Since it has an antispasmodic effect, it is also used for inhalation in asthma, bronchitis, but also in respiratory infections, because it also has an antimicrobial effect. What does scientific research say? Commission E approved the use of sage in mild digestive disorders and to prevent excessive sweating, and externally for inflammation of the mucous membranes of the mouth and throat. Research has confirmed that sage contributes to the reduction of menopausal sweating. The estrogenic effect of sage can contribute to the regulation of the menstrual cycle, painful menstruation, and reduce the secretion of milk in breastfeeding women who want to stop breastfeeding. Sage essential oil has antimicrobial, astringent and relaxing effects. How is sage used? Sage is used in the form of tea, tincture, essential oil. For internal use, a spoonful of sage tea is poured over a cup of water and boiled for 3–5 minutes, and for external use, rinsing, disinfection, it is not boiled, but sage tea is poured over boiling water, covered and left to stand for half an hour, after which strain and rinse several times a day. Sage essential oil is responsible for its antiseptic properties, so it is important not to brew tea and cover, so that the essential oil does not evaporate. For internal use, tea is brewed to evaporate components that may act convulsively if used in large doses. Sage is used in alternative medicine as a remedy for many diseases, but is also used in cooking as a spice in very small quantities. It is used in the preparation of meat, grilled meat, when cooking beans and stews. Only the sheet is used. Sage tea. Sage tea contains many powerful herbal compounds. It is considered that the leaf should be picked in May when the sage is in bloom, because then it contains the most medicinal ingredients. Then the leaf is picked, dried in a colorful shade and stored carefully. Internal use: pour 1 teaspoon with 2 deciliters of boiling water and let it stand for 10 minutes. After that, strain the tea and drink 1 cup of coffee at the bottom up to twice a day. It is best to consume sage tea without sugar. You can possibly add a teaspoon of natural honey. If you have menstrual problems, irregular menstrual cycle, drink sage tea for 14 days during the period when you are not menstruating. For rinsing, if you want to rinse your mouth or throat with sage, the procedure for making tea is the same as for internal use. Tea should be kept in the throat and gargled several times a day. Sage has antimicrobial effects that can neutralize microbes that cause dental plaque. A recent study showed that rinsing the mouth with sage-based products effectively destroys the bacterium Streptococcus mutans, which is one of the main culprits for most of our dental problems. Studies have also shown that sage-based essential oil destroys and stops the spread of Candida albicans, a fungus that can also cause tooth decay. Sage can treat throat infections, dental abscesses, gum disease and mouth ulcers. For inhalation, to relieve flu symptoms, inhale the steam over a pot in which sage and thyme or rosemary are cooked. Along with inhalation of sage, you can also consume ginger tea, which has shown itself really well in the treatment of colds and flu. Sage honey and its properties. This rare honey is specific in many ways. It is highly valued by producers and consumers and is not always and everywhere available. It is usually light yellow with variations all the way to green. Intense characteristics of the plant, such as a strong taste, with hints of bitterness and a pleasant smell, are also the characteristics of this honey. Sage is a shrubby plant that you will recognize by its intense purple flowers. In our areas, it is mostly found in the Mediterranean Sea Belt. Thrives very well in karst areas. The healing properties of sage honey are most intensely manifested in respiratory problems, for which sage is otherwise known. Has extremely strong antiseptic and bacteriostatic effect, and its aromas and essential oils soothe cough and make breathing easier. It is especially effective in the treatment of dry cough and bronchial diseases. By consuming it, we will facilitate the expulsion of accumulated, thick and heavy respiratory secretions organs. It soothes the mucous membranes of the throat and nose and thus acts against inflammation, protecting throat and lungs from infection, and facilitates breathing while stimulating immunity. Until the discovery of antibiotics, sage honey was the medicine of choice regulating these problems. This honey is also beneficial in treating nervous tensions and problems with anxiety, depression, while having a calming effect on fears. It raises the mood and restores energy, which is why it is especially effective in calming conditions caused by stress and everyday conditions accompanied by tension. In combination with sage tea, it will have an even stronger effect. Sage cleanses the blood, lowers blood sugar, helps with headache problems and migraine. It has antifungal, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory effect, has a beneficial effect on the work of the stomach and intestine as a broken bar regulates female hormones and prevents menopausal symptoms. Although sage honey is healing and helps with many diseases and conditions, very much those who suffer from high blood pressure should be careful in consumption pressure because its essential oils just tend to pressure further higher. 1 teaspoon of honey a day is recommended, preferably in the morning before breakfast. Dissolve in lukewarm water or tea. The tea must be chilled to be high temperature would not disturb the composition of honey. When not to use sage. Sage should not be used by pregnant women, nursing mothers and people with epilepsy. Side effects. Although sage is a natural remedy, it can sometimes cause side effects such as nausea, vomiting and dizziness. Sage tea should not be drunk for more than 2 weeks because there is a possibility that due to the presence of thujone, toxic effects may occur. And for the end, light the sage leaves in the house and after 10 minutes a miracle will happen. People around the world burn plants to cleanse the negative energy, and one of the most commonly used is sage. This plant is collected and dried, and then burned due to its cleaning smoke. To do this at home, put dried sage in a fireproof dish and light it. Smoke all over the house. If you have asthma or are sensitive to smoke, skip this. If you like the video, please give us your support by subscribing to our channel, Herbal Treasury. See you in the next video. Bye.